Hello and welcome to Friday Night Fright, the podcast that airs on a Thursday evening, not a Friday. Don't think about too much. But hey, we're back and it's crazier than ever because this is the second episode of the second attempt of this podcast. We're going to go weekly. We're going to go 1,000 weeks, 17 movies, 57 avenues of something I don't know. And well, this week's episode is a bunch of stuff which people on YouTube have already seen, but not all together. Yay! I'm reviewing The Brutalist. I'm reviewing Dexter Original Sin, episode 8 of season 1. I'm reviewing season 2, episode 3 of Severance. And I also watched the Creep tapes and Sam Raimi's The Gift. It's all in this episode. It's all exclusive, sort of combined. I don't know. Anyway, here it is.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm going back to movie jail again. Oh God, The Brutalist, I saw it. Oh, Jesus Christ. This movie has been getting great reviews from everyone. It's been critically acclaimed. It's been commercially, I don't know how much money it's made, but famous directors like Oliver Stone and Celine Song like it. Paul Schrader likes it. It's got loads of Oscar nominations. So by all metric, it should be a great movie, and it's not. I'm sorry, I don't want to be that guy, but I have to be that guy. This ain't it, guys. This is not it. Now, I should preface that saying that I was not particularly interested in seeing this anyway, because the last long movie I saw, like really super long in cinema, was The Irishman, and I thought that was good, but I did not get most out of that in cinema. I got really into it at home when I watched it again on Netflix, but that's a whole long story. So I said that I would only go see this if I could see it early in the day, and we managed to see it at midday, like 1:45, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll see it, partly because that's an intermission, and I saw it, and oh no! Here's the thing. I feel like me saying this is not good is going to lead to maybe not backlash, but people complaining like, oh, you just don't get the movie, you don't understand it, it's rich themes and stuff like, no. I get the movie. I get what it's going for mostly because it's very, 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 very much movie where there is no subtext. This movie screams at you. This is what you must be feeling. And you're watching it like, okay, we get it. Like, you're not even going for metaphors. You're literally having scenes where it's like, do you understand? And it's like, yes, we get it. Like, this movie is full of, like, scenes where it's like it's like the movie doesn't trust the audience to pick up what's going on. It's sort of like, you need to think this, and it's like, we get it. It's not good, but we understand it. But movies doesn't stop that. And look, I'm trying not to be that guy because my movies have the subtext of a rock, but my movies are crap schlock horror movies. They're not big epics dealing with like the post-Holocaust experience of Jewish people in America. And don't get wrong, like I'm saying, like there's parts of this movie I like. I think Guy Pearce is great, and that's about it. It's just okay. Firstly, it's too long. I'm not saying you can't make a long movie, because I love Babylon and I love The Irishman now, and they're long movies, but if you're going to make a long movie, you got to make it consistently good, and this is not. And at the same time, okay, here's where it gets sad, because I don't like criticizing movies. I genuinely don't enjoy it. But at the same time, I don't subscribe to this nonsense whereby, like, if you work in the industry, you can't be critical of movies. Because you should be critical of movies. You shouldn't go like, no comment. It's like, no. We should be commenting on this stuff. My main issue of this movie, apart from the fact that it has no subtext, because much like Garth Marenghi's subtext is for cowards, apparently, my issue of this movie is, I think it's too long. It really is too long. Its themes are all over the goddamn place. Because I get the impression this movie, in part, is trying to be about the process of making movies. And for that regard, it hurts me a bit, because I hate this tortured artist crap that they keep doing in these movies. Like, where it's sort of like, oh, you have to understand, oh, he's going above scale, he's going above budget, but it's okay because he's an artist. So like, no. If you're as good as you say you are, you work within parameters that you've been given. And at the same time, I also think, like I said earlier, this movie's clearly about the post-Holocaust, post-WW2 experience of Jewish people in America. And I get that. And that's definitely one of the things they're trying to put across. But my ultimate issue is I don't think these characters are even slightest bit likable. And I know you don't have to have likable characters per se, but what I'm saying is you have to have characters who... See, this is where it gets really, really hard, because people take... When you say something like that, people take... About a movie like this, people take it the wrong way. But we'll phrase it a different way. Roman Polanski, who I think is just the worst human being, The Pianist, outstanding movie, brilliant movie, amazing movie, and all starring Adrian Brody, who's much better in that than he is in this. Because this, I don't know what this performance is, but it's just not, it just doesn't work. And I think you get to a certain point watching this movie where you're like, this movie's just, it just doesn't work. And I think they're going for a big, well, partly, I think because I watched in IMAX, and this ain't an IMAX movie by any stretch of imagination. It's not shot for IMAX. It's not set up for IMAX. It's not anything for IMAX. It's just, oh. Yeah, I'm just going to cut my review off here. I really didn't like this movie. I don't recommend it. I don't think if you want the movie trailers advertised, that ain't the movie you get. It's too long. It's too much stuff going on that doesn't really amount to anything. Its themes are muddled. The acting's not brilliant. And and also really annoying. There's a few really bad errors in there. So yeah, no, this one's not me. If you liked it, cool, but no, I'm not a fan. It's nowhere near deserving of praise and scale. And it's time for Death's Original Sin, episode 8. It's got a title, but the title is Business and Pleasure, but I call it Patrick No! Because in this episode, Patrick Dempsey, Sexy McDreamy, whatever you're called, you bad man, he hatches a plan in this episode, which is kind of insane, to basically give a guy his son's t-shirt. You remember in last episode they built it. He's the killer. I don't know what, breakfast bites killer something. Anyway, he's the killer of the season, and he gives a guy his son's t-shirt, and then he orchestrates a raid on the house, and then he gets his best friend Bobby shot, and it turns into a bloodbath. And you're like, oh man, the only explanation they can give us at this point surely has been that he has a split personality disorder. But also, this isn't how people with split personality disorders act, so that's not accurate. And nothing, sort of like, it's Patrick Dempsey. Did you not think, like, there's only two options for the bad guy. It's either Sarah Michelle Gellar or Patrick Dempsey. And it's like, Sarah Michelle Gellar's clearly been set up for season 2, where, I don't know, she'll be like the original Ice Pit Killer or something. Anyway, so that's that. That's crazy. And like, Dexter's like, you're evil. I knew you were evil last week, but I know you're extra evil this week. And that's like the Monday cliffhanger, sort of like, you're bad and I'm going to bring you down, which is kind of weird because that's the cliffhanger from last week, but it's cool, it's okay, because the actual cliffhanger is the flashback cliffhanger, because you remember at the end of the last episode, Laura's sort of like, she's got to go to a shipping container, and we're like, oh man, we know what happens in the shipping container, it involves a chainsaw. And the build up in this episode is to them being in shipping container. But also there's other people in shipping container. And Estrada's like, you bad Laura, me chainsaw, you bad. Dexter has to watch. Brian, no, Dexter has to watch. So then he cuts off a guy's arm and Dexter watches and the darkness enters into him. But also it doesn't end with his mother being kicked by a chainsaw. So maybe she doesn't actually get taken up by a chainsaw. Maybe it's like a revisionist retcon sort of thing. And also Gio is a piece of shit. He has a fiance, and also he may be involved in some stuff. And let's face it, we all know he's Estrada's son. We all know that's where it's going to go. Or he's some mobster, I don't know, some thing to do that. But anyway, he's like, you Deb, you're underage, but that's not worst thing, because I have fiance and I'm going to leave you on an island because you looked in some boxes and you may have seen something not meant to see. And she's sort of like, you asshole. And then Dexter picks her up. He magically finds her on an entire island, which like, yay. But also boo because he didn't keep an eye on Spencer and then everything went wrong. And also Harry's, finds out that his, stepson Brian B. Moser is still alive and is also a creepy guy. So what's going to happen with that? Well, absolutely nothing, because apparently according to Reddit and TV tropes and Wikipedia, he's the killer in season 1 of Dexter. So it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, that is the one problem for this show, where it's sort of like, oh no, Bobby gets shot, but it's okay because he's not in Dexter season 1 and people in Dexter season 1 are okay. And it's like, okay, like, yeah, that's something. Don't get me wrong, I'm still loving this show. I'm loving the dynamics. Dexter and Deb particularly is great. That actress, I think Molly Brown is really, really good. And so is Patrick Gibson. And so is Christian Slater as like Harry Morgan. But it's kind of like having trouble by the fact that like, they, you know, this isn't the end for the characters. They still got like more stuff to on the main shows. So it's like, okay, we know when they die and when they don't die, unless they do a switch with us and we find out that that's the imagined stuff wrong and the original series is different. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but what I'm trying to say is that this show's really good on its own merits, but I feel like as a prequel, it's kind of like, although I suppose they can throw some curveballs at us, and I suppose the point is that it's fun. It's fun, and Patrick Dempsey's really evil, because he is. He's evil in everything. I mean, he's not someone you ever want to spend Thanksgiving with. Ha! It's a joke. Anyway, I really like this episode. I love this show. I don't know how many episodes are left, but it's a good series. And yeah, you know, it's gonna like go in an interesting direction, hopefully. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. How's season gonna end? Patrick Dempsey's probably going to get taken out by Dexter and we'll get some flashbacks. I think he'll save the kid. I think that'll happen. You know, sort of contrast to how Dexter had darkness put in him, but he's going to stop this kid from having the darkness put in him, maybe. I mean, although maybe kid is one of the killers in future seasons of Dexter. I don't know. I do not know whether that is the case or not. I mean, could be. Maybe kid's the Trinity Killer. Weirdly, do you guys hear? Apparently they're going to make a show set around the Trinity Killer, which I'm like, that's weird, but also John Lithgow doing narration, I'm down for that. So yeah, anyway, really good episode, so cool. Looking forward to the next one, which may or may not be finale. I don't fucking know. It's time for another review. This one of The Gift, the 2000 movie by Sam Raimi, who's one of my favourite directors of all time, and this movie's not disappointing. I think I saw it a long time ago and sort of half watched it. I was interested in it because obviously I'm a Sam Raimi fan, and I thought, oh, Keanu Reeves is bad guy, that'll be quite interesting. And then I blanked it out for 20 years, I guess, maybe more. And then I saw it was on Arrow Video tonight, and I was like, oh, that's quite cool. You know, I can justify watching Arrow Video for another month by watching this, maybe another movie. And I watched this, and I was really, really surprised. This is a great movie. It's a genuinely good movie. And I haven't watched, some ones I've watched recently, like, I really didn't like Brutalist. I really didn't like that Nicole Kidman one. And it's so rare to watch, like, a movie like this with elements which I'm not necessarily a fan of, like the sort of southern horror thriller aspect of American cinema. Sometimes it works, but sometimes it really doesn't. But I think Sam Raimi did a great job here. I think one of the reasons he did, because I do remember Billy Bob Thornton co-wrote the script and he based the main character, Kate Blanchett's character, on his mum and her psychic abilities. Whether she actually has psychic abilities or not, I don't know, but her might doubt Billy Bob Thornton. But this is a really good example of the idea that actors sometimes make really good writers. Although I think Billy Bob Thornton was a writer who became an actor, I guess, I don't know. But much like Owen Wilson, Billy Bob Thornton's a really good writer, and I suppose it makes sense he hasn't done that much, because since this, I mean, he made that All Pretty Horses movie, which Apparently it's fantastic, but Miramax cut shit because Miramax were a bunch of arseholes, with two arseholes in particular, the Weinstein brothers. Anyway, back to the movie. Cate Blanchett is great in this. And I think one reason she's great is she doesn't overplay it. There's obviously a supernatural element to this movie in terms of her psychic visions are clearly actually psychic visions. They're not like, oh, is she psychic? No, it's like, no, she's very, very, very psychic. And the movie does a good job playing her. It's very sympathetic and not veering. I mean, obviously some characters like Keanu Reeves' character is kind of, I think it's kind of over the top, but it kind of works based on how grounded Cate Blanchett is in this movie. Like, Ethel is a bit weird and very southern, and she's just like, no, I just want to, like, look after my kids and deal with my dead husband. So she's got a very sort of sympathetic story, and then always somewhat caricatures around her, quite over the top at points. Like, you know, it's very much like the episode Futurama with Southern guy going, oh gee whiz, you're giving me vapors. It's not a very good Southern accent, but fuck it, I don't give a shit. In this day and age, who really gives a shit? But I think Sam Raimi's perfect guy for this sort of movie because he brings the style to it, and this is definitely a Sam Raimi movie in terms of how it's shot and constructed. And Cate Blanchett brings some genuinely great acting to it. I mean, nothing much saying that she is one of the best actresses of her generation, best actors, I suppose you can say, best acting people, whatever. But she is always good. I mean, she carries this goddamn movie and brings a heart to it. I'm not going to say Sam Raimi movies don't have heart, but I will say I think particularly she brings a real heart to this movie, might not have otherwise had, despite the fact that it's a good script. And I think she really does that. And it's kind of nice where she's trusted for that and Sam Raimi's trusted visuals to get something which is actually interesting to watch visually and some cool shots and cool transitions and cool things like that. And then you get her performance which really anchors it by letting us know this is a human being we do relate to and we are quite, you know, one as happy an ending possible. But that's not to say this movie doesn't have some messed up stuff. Giovanni Ribisi's stuff is fucking terrifying. There's a few scenes where, I mean, it's one of those great things when you see an actor like Giovanni Ribisi, who I think has always been really good and stuff. But in this movie, it's like, Jesus Christ, it's cat and ball, man. I mean, he's terrific. That scene of him and Keanu Reeves in the car, that's not just acting, that's acting plus. So that's great. And I do like the fact that remembers it should be scary. You get a lot of movies like this and they don't really have much of a scare quota, but Sam Raimi, he knows what he's doing for a horror movie. And the automobiles there, cool too, so that's cool. So yeah, I really liked it. I thought the script, acting, directing, everything's really good. Yes, some parts of it a bit hammy than others, but I think that hits with the aesthetic, and I would feel comfortable saying that this movie is 4 stars with ease. It would be 5, but I think the last 15 minutes or so did kind of meander, but I find that with all mystery things. I find, like, where you think it could go is usually more interesting than where it goes, but then had cool endings, so there you go. Really enjoyed it, 4 stars. So, kick off the new year with the second episode of Friday Night Fright 2.0. It's starting off with the review of Creep Tapes, which is on Shudder, which I meant to watch ages ago and forgot to watch. It's a series about the character from the movie Creep and Creep Part 2, Creep 2, which I remember were both really messed up movies and kind of like fascinating because the whole nature of them was that it was like very mundane horror, I guess you can say, where it's just a guy who's just horrifically awful, and it's like really uncomfortable horror. And it sort of gave you a bit of a chill down your spine because of the way it dragged out. So, calling this late on Friday, dragged out sequences and just make you feel just general sense of unease. And they made 2 movies. First one's really fucked up. Second one was even more fucked up. And then they did nothing for ages. And then Mark Duplass was just like, hey, you know, we're bringing it back. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, sound interesting. But I never watched it when it came out because I just ran out of time. And I thought, hey, you know, let's watch one episode, just see how it goes. And one episode became 2, became 3, became 4, 5, and 6. And I watched all of them in the space of 24 hours. And this show is fucking incredible. Sorry about language, but also not sorry. It is an excellent show. And I've seen reviews, the IMDb score, Collider score, which are quite low. Shudder score is quite high because I think Shudder fan base gets what this is. And I'm not saying you have to like it, because obviously you don't, because you don't have to like it, it's very specific horror, and it falls into that sort of mumblecore indie mode of movies popularized by Greta Gerwig and Noam Baumbach. But I love this. I thought it was genuinely great, and I got to the end and I was like, this is really good. But it's also really messed up, and it does sort of give more backstory to the character. And actually, to an extent, it seems somewhat like it's veering in a slightly supernatural way. I mean, there's certain things in this movie which cannot possibly be based in any semblance of reality. Obviously, the character is somewhat grounded. Like, they're trying not to go too old school slasher with him, but there's definitely a vibe where it's like, this might not necessarily be set realistic anymore. And I don't really mind that, because I think it's, it's such an interesting idea to have this guy as the lead character, who we learn more about him, but more we learn, the more we think he's a fucking sociopath, because he really is. He's a horrible person. And even in last episode, when sorry, spoilers, so if you still listen 10 seconds, there'll be spoilers. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, if you're still listening, I'll be spoiled. We meet his mum, maybe, and his brother, maybe. Maybe it's all a lie, maybe it's all bollocks, because as he says in this series, he's conflicted and doesn't remember things brilliantly. But he's such a psychopath. And it's just like, it's one of the great things. I think the reason people are so critics are so against this is because, like, you're suspecting a TV show like this, and that we get more of a sense of trying to understand him. But more information we learn about him, the worse he is. He's just awful. He's one. But then again, it's also fascinating, because why do these characters trust him? I mean, he's clearly evil. He's clearly wrong. And all of his acting and his pretense, it's like, it just doesn't hide the fact that he's just so goddamn creepy. And this is such a cool idea, because normally you would get that sense of like, oh yeah, you can believe why people fall into the trap and believe him when he takes these things. But in this sort of case, I guess it's about the money he offers these people. But Jesus Christ, it's so messed up. And for one, I really dig the fact that it's just so intense and so uncomfortable. And it's just like, even 20-minute episodes is so dragged out in the creepiest fucking way of this. It's called Creep Dates. And the general nature of series, where it's almost like an anthology series with each episode, well, it's not almost, it is an anthology series with each episode being based on one of the tapes he has. But just the fact that he's just this nightmarish human being. So I loved this. I thought it was really, really good and really, really disturbing. And I can't remember last time I watched 6 episodes of anything this quickly. I guess Douglas is cancelled from last year, which is also really, really good. But I'd say if you want to see something which is unique and odd and really, 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 as I said, fucked up, watch a Creep Tapes on Shudder. It's really, really good. And it's a great way to start the year. So there you go. I'm going to say 4 out of 5 for this. I really enjoyed it, and I would watch season 2.
And the episode's finished, yay! But before it's finished, I just want to, as I always say, I've never said before, but I'm going to say anyway, down with far-right people, boo, hiss. No, don't agree with that far-right extremism or far-left extremism, but we're focusing on far-right at the moment. And also, everything has politics in it. It all has politics in it, even this podcast. And this podcast politics are, don't be an asshole to people for what they identify as sexually or their gender identity or their race or anything. Don't be a victim because of that. If they're a nasty person, if they're horrible, then you can shout at them, but never because of who they are in terms of their identity. That's wrong. Unless they're like a far-right Nazi. And then you can be like, hey, you're rotten to the core. Or just a Nazi in general. And then you'd be like, you Nazi bad. Because Nazis are bad. And we don't like Nazis. And also, the Fantastic Four trailer came out and it was good. And yeah, it was really, really good. Because I want to end this podcast on a positive note. Although, thinking people who treat people like crap because of their sexuality or their race or their gender. And yes, when I say gender, I don't just mean the two of them. Don't be an arsehole. Don't be a prick. Don't be a tech bro billionaire, whatever it's called. And especially don't be like Lex Luthor, the star of my new YouTube series. Did Lex Luthor really say that? And Yarto Neflis, no, he did not really say that, but maybe he will someday. I don't know. It's making fun of people for doing stupid shit that you expect a comic book character to do, but comic book supervillain wouldn't say that shit because even he's not as big an arsehole as you guys. Anyway, that's the end of the podcast. It may or may not be back next week. I don't know. It depends on whether I get kicked off the various platforms again. But anyway, until next time, bye!